So in the last lecture, we have seen about what does it means by an object, what are the different forms of object that are available inside the Salesforce standard and the custom. And while creating an object, what is the governance limit if we have? So like in the free developer edition, you could maximum create 400 different custom objects. Related to the unlimited edition of the Salesforce, you could maximum create 2000 different custom objects. Then we have seen like how to see the different ways, like what are the different ways of looking into how many different types of objects are there inside the organization. So we have seen that there are altogether 4 different ways to do that. In the standard navigation, you have a separate set of 2 different navigations are there for if you wanted to search for any standard object, you need to follow a separate navigation. But if you wanted to see the custom object, there is a separate navigation for that also. Then by using the developer console, this was the advantage. Like here, if I at all wanted to see the standard object or the custom object, I need to follow 2 separate navigations. What is the benefit with them using the developer console? The benefit is that using the developer console, first of all, is that all the standard and the custom objects are displayed in a single table. Moreover, here those objects, even though the tab is not there, tab is not created for the object, that is also displayed with the developer console. So these are few benefits with the developer console. Then I showed you one more thing called as schema builder. So schema builder kya hai? So basically schema builder is a graphical representational tool where actually with the help of some graphics, with the help of some graphical tool sort of thing, we use to display the objects on the screen. So that is, and the advantage what we get with the schema builder is that schema builder along with the object, it actually show you the relationship between the objects. So if the objects are related with each other, if there are 2 objects and they have a relationship, the most convenient way and the most visible way, the most correct way to display that is to bring them on the canvas of a schema. So this was the benefit, what we get with the schema builder. Then I also told you there are a few more third-party tools, apart from the Salesforce object. There are a few more tools where who can be integrated with the Salesforce organization, and with the help of that also you could see the objects and you could perform some more different operations. So these are some of the tools like Workbench and then Informatica Cloud, even the data loader also. So I told you about the Workbench. I have demonstrated in the last lecture. We are going to work. Just a second. Just a second. Yeah, we have data loader we are going to learn, but Workbench tool and this to external tool also, which with you can see how many objects are there inside the Salesforce. Now is the time. Now today's lecture, now today's lecture we are going to create the custom objects. See, there are 2 different ways to create the custom objects, and I'm going to teach you both of them. Okay, we are going to create the custom objects. And we have a document for that also. This document sometimes is called as IDD. That IDD stands for Interface Detailed Document. And it could be like user requirement document also. It could be like BSR document, like a business requirement specification, business requirement document, BRD, BSR. So, actually, there are few different terminologies that is used to describe the same document, and it completely depends between organization to organization. These are terminologies that are quite differ between organization to organization, but everyone have have a document, have a terminology. Every organization have a terminology to describe the document, that this is the document you need to follow. So this one is a document I used to call this IDD. IDD stands for Interface Detailed Document. That what kind of interface that we are going to develop, what kind of objects, and if we are developing the objects, inside the object, what are kind of the fields that we are going to create. So everything related to what you need to create, what you need to create. This document is used to describe that. So I'm introducing these some of the terminologies with you because when we are putting, some sort of experience on the resume. Probably for those who have completed their graduation on the post-graduation a year or basically 2 years prior. So we can put some sort of experience on the resume. When we are actually, indicating that this particular person is having this much of experience, you should be aware of few of the common terminologies that we use inside the IT. That is why, during the training also, I'm going to introduce a few of the terminologies with you, so that whenever you are having a discussions related to the projects that we have put up, on your resume, we are going the uh, some part of project also that you have worked on these two projects or probably three projects. Then I'm going to you to describe that project, and you need to then start working on those, है ना. So उस वक्त थोड़ा सा हम जब whenever we are actually into the discussion with the projects related, then we can use these terminologies, and it's really good to use those kind of terminologies. That is why this is the main agenda behind actually why I'm telling you all this terminologies, because you should be a little bit aware about that, right? So any such document, describes you what you need to follow, the roadmap of your entire journey during the development part is there are few different sets of terminologies used for that. Sometimes it is called as IDD, interface detailed document. Sometimes it is called as user story. Sometimes it is called as a plain requirement document. इतना भी सिंपल हो सकता है, ऐसा नहीं है इसके लिए कोई हाई फाई टेक्नोलॉजी ही यूज होगी. Sometimes it should be like, just a plain requirement document, that's it. Sometimes it could be like business BRD, बोलते हैं इसको, business requirement a definition, or sometimes it is called as business requirement specifications. So these are few of the terminologies that are there inside the IT, right? So chalo, what we are going to do right now is that we are about to create three different objects: hiring manager, and then candidate object, and then position object. Okay, so we are about to create three different kinds of objects: hiring manager, positions, and the candidate. Now see, these are the fields. These are the fields what we are going to create inside the hiring manager. These are the fields. Inside the candidate, we are going to create these as the fields. Inside the object, we are going to create these fields. But right now, we don't know about how to create the field. Later on, we are going to discuss that also, how to create the fields inside the object. But for now, I came to know about this fact that inside the CRM, Skyline Cloud Solution, we are about to create three different custom objects. Okay, we are about to create three different custom objects. What are the name of those objects? First is hiring manager, the second is position, and the third one is candidate. Okay, so if at all we wanted to create a custom object, what are the different ways to do that? Right now we are discussing that. Okay, now we know that we are about to create three different objects: hiring manager, and the candidate, and the positions. Okay, now we understand that in this particular requirement, this particular CRM, we also want these three objects, and because they are not there, these are not the standard objects. Standard, it's like account, cases, contact, lead, whatever the standard object is required over here, we already have added all of them. Now the problem is that it requires certain apart from this, it actually requires few more objects. तो हम उसके ऊपर बात करें. What are those objects? It actually requires, right now it requires three objects. Apart from all these standard objects, the CRM actually requires as a requirement, as a requirement what we have discussed with the client, and whatever the things what we have get out of the requirement. So समझ में आया कि now we need to have three more custom objects, like one of the object to store all the details of the hiring managers. The second, we want something to store the details of the candidate. That means we require a candidate object. And we also want, the different kinds of positions are actually being handled by the hiring manager, and then candidates applies for those positions. So we intermediately want an object to store the details of all positions. That is why our conclusion is that we should have a hiring manager object inside this application. We should have candidate object inside the application, and we should even have a position object inside the application. So this is all the judgmental story what we have actually concluded right now with the requirement what we have been discussed with the client, right? Okay, चलो, तो अब बात निकल गई है कि ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करना है. अब जब बात निकल ही गई है ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करना है, तो आइए फिर ये देख लेते हैं कि हाउ व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट वेज एंड हाउ टू क्रिएट द ऑब्जेक्ट. तो देखिए, देयर आर टू डिफरेंट वेज टू क्रिएट द ऑब्जेक्ट. ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करने के दो तरीके हैं. फर्स्ट इज द स्टैंडर्ड नेविगेशन and the second, by using the standard navigation, by using second is the schema builder. So yeah, by using the schema builder also. So where it has been, yeah, by using the schema builder. These are the two different ways. So these are the two different ways to create the objects. दोनों ही तरीके मैं आपको सिखाने वाला हूँ. Okay, don't worry, because we have a 3 different objects, but I'll use that. I will do one thing over here. Let me, for the hiring manager, for the hiring manager, and while creating the candidate, while creating the hiring manager and the candidate, we will follow the standard navigation. ठीक है? And हम फिर ऐसा करते हैं कि the position object we will follow the schema builder, so that you will have you will get the flavor of these two techniques. आपको दोनों आना चाहिए. So after this, like once we completed with the creation of hiring manager and creation of candidate, the standard navigation, and then once we completed the creation of position with the schema builder, so we are going to have a discussion on this also कि आपको इन दोनों techniques में से कौन सी technique suitable लगती है. Moreover, कहाँ पे क्या अप्लाई करना चाहिए, स्टैंडर्ड नेविगेशन से कहाँ पे ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्रिएट करना चाहिए, what are the benefits and the drawbacks of the standard navigation, then what are the pros and cons with the schema builder. तो ये एक डिस्कशन करने वाले हम at the end when we are ready with all those objects and all the fields inside the object, क्योंकि हमें सिर्फ ऑब्जेक्ट ही क्रिएट नहीं करना है. Let me tell you that, see, if I go to this opportunity object, I could see that it have so many different fields inside the opportunity: name type, and account name, lead. So these are the fields. So inside every object, if I go to the lead, see, lead even have these many fields, mobile facts. So this means I am also about to create the objects. तो अभी हम object ही create नहीं करने वाले हैं. We are also going to create the fields inside the object. तो ये पूरा निपटा लेते हैं पहले, तीनों objects का जो भी आपका काम है, अभी तीनों objects along with their fields. Let's first complete that. उसके बाद में फिर हम ऐसा करेंगे कि we are going to have a discussion on this. What is that technique? आपको इनमें से क्या suitable लगा और कहाँ पे क्या use करना चाहिए, ताकि आगे चल के जब आप real time पे जाओ, based on the scenario, you could be even, you could decide, you should decide, यहाँ पे मैंने schema builder use करना, यहाँ पे मैंने standard navigation use करना. So that's really important to understand कि आपने कौन सी चीज कहाँ पे use करनी चाहिए. This is also a part of your training. Okay, based on the apart from this, apart from the Salesforce, I'm also every time I will tell you this, the scenario based things. यहाँ पे ये scenario पे ये fit करना. और जितना आप ये टॉपिक समझ रहे हैं उतना ही एसेंशियल है सिनेरियोस को समझना, बिकॉज रियल टाइम पे सिनेरियोस ही रहते हैं, एंड यू आर द वन हु शुड टेक द डिसीजन कि यहाँ पे मैंने ये चीज यूज करना. तो वो भी थोड़ा सा डेवलप होना चाहिए कि 2 महीना 3 महीने के अंदर. दैट इज वाई, है ना, हम एक तो दो पार्ट में चलेगी आपकी ट्रेनिंग. मान के चलिए, फर्स्ट इज दैट आई विल टेल यू दिस इज द फीचर ऑफ द Salesforce and this is the way to create that. Second, and the most important, why we are doing this. So everywhere there's a question, why 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 I should go with standard. If I at all wanted to create a field, why I should go with the standard navigation, rather why I should go with the schema builder. This question why is essentially important. You should ask yourself, you should ask me, I'll ask by myself, I'll give you the answer. तो ये जो why वाला पार्ट है ना, ये बहुत, और ये चीज टेंडेंसी अपने को डेवलप कर रहा है ड्यूरिंग दिस ट्रेनिंग आल्सो. So let's start with the standard navigation. Let's take the first example. I wanted to create an object called as hiring manager. So let me just copy this. I wanted to create a new object called as hiring manager. How many more objects I could create? Because I'm using a developer edition, I could maximum create a 400 custom objects. But if I at all was using the unlimited edition, I could create maximum 2000 custom objects. And what happens if this limit is exceeded? If we, if this limit has been exceeded, you cannot ask the Salesforce to extend the limit. That is not at all possible. Salesforce is very rigid about their governor limits, and for anyone, Salesforce is not going to hide the limit. Rather, you shift your project on the lightning, And instead of building the objects, let's build a component. There are so many different reasons why we are actually now moving towards the lightweight. One of the reasons, this is the reason, right? Okay, so how to create a custom object? I'm about to create a custom object called as hiring manager. This is the navigation. Okay, this is the navigation. You need to follow all those 13 steps. Read it once by one whenever you are reading that query. Let me directly go with the practical part. Go to the setup menu. Go to the build menu. Just expand the create menu. Okay. You already have learned how to create about the applications. In the create, the first option is apps. With this, we have created two custom applications, Merck Incorporation, and the second is this Skyline Cloud Solutions, right? So these are the two applications what we already have created. Now let's go to there's one more link called as object. See, there's one more link over here. If you see, there's one more link called as objects. Okay, this link is actually used to create the objects. This link is actually used to create the new custom objects. It's also used to display, it's also used to display the existing custom objects. So let me click on this. Let me click on this. Here, the every custom object what you have created are going to be displayed. But presently, you see, we haven't created any custom objects. So the list is blank. Very obviously, the list is blank. Now it have a button, new custom object. Second is schema builder. We are going to cover this also, but right now I'm just focusing on this part, new custom object, right? I'm focusing on this part, new custom object. See, just click on this new custom object. Give the label, give the name, what we wanted to do. I wanted to create an object called as hiring manager. Hiring manager. Just press the tab button. Okay, so object name has been created. Object name has been created. Okay. Now here we need to give plural. See, I told you one thing. If you remember when we were learning about the tabs, here when we learn about the tabs, I told you that the object name is singular in the form. The tab names are plural, right? The tab names are always plural. But that means, if campaign is the name of the object, tab name will not be the campaign. The tab name will be campaigns, right? For the lead, it will be like leads. So, your object name are singular. So right now you are creating one object called as hiring manager. Hiring manager. But what will be the plural form of this? It will not be just hiring manager. It will be hiring managers. One additional S is there. So let me write on that. So this plural label is actually the name of the tab what you want it to be. अब आप मुझसे पूछो कि सर ये मैं हटा के सेव कर सकता हूँ? Yes, you can do. See, you can of course do that for the custom object, but this is you should not do something which you should not do. If something is actually being, जैसे कि आप देख रहे हो कि अकाउंट का सिर्फ अकाउंट नहीं, अकाउंट्स है, कॉन्टैक्ट का कॉन्टैक्ट्स है, अपॉर्चुनिटी के अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, like this. Yes, Salesforce allow you, you can even have a tab name in the singular form. आपको अगर इंटरव्यू में कोई पूछता है tab names, आपने कहा कि tab names, object names are singular, their particular tab names are plural, and they could ask you this, could we have a tab name in the singular form? You could say, तो आप standard object पे तो ये सब चीजें नहीं कर सकते, but yes, you can tell this, yeah, for the custom objects and the custom tabs. Right now I'm creating a custom object and also creating a tab for this. So for the custom object and the tabs for this, you could have a tab with a singular name also. But that is something which is not recommended. You can do that. Of course, you can do that for the custom object, not for the standard. Remember, no, I'm repeating this every time I'm saying I'm repeating this because you should be absolutely clear about this fact. For the standard, you cannot do any sort of editing. But yeah, for the custom object, for the custom tab, for the custom object and the custom tab, we can have a custom tab singular in the form. Yes, we can do that, but that is something which should not be there. It is something which is not recommended because this is a kind of, what I could say. मतलब एक तरीका है ये. It's something how we describe the tab inside the Salesforce. Okay, we always say that the tab names are plural in the form. Rather singular, they are plural in the form. Tab object names are something which is actually singular. तो जहाँ पे ये ऐसा ट्रेंड बना हुआ है, तो let's not break the trend. Let's not break the trend and let's go with this trend. जैसा चल रहा है, चलने दो. Let me give the tab name as to be the hiring manager, or let me put underscore in between them so that was a clear cut nazar aaye. Hiring managers like this. Here, see, here there are four optional features. Here there are four optional features over here. Allow reports, allow activities, and then track field history and allows in the chatter. For now, I'm telling you to click every one of them. I am now telling you to click every one of them. अब इसमें individually मैं discuss करने वाला हूँ. What happens, when you don't आगे चल के अभी नहीं, not right now, इसको समय आने का है. लेकिन हाँ मैं आगे चल के आपसे इस बारे में डिस्कशन करने वाला हूँ. तो what really happens when you don't click allow reports? तो allow reports आप नहीं करते हो तो क्या होता है? Allow chatter नहीं करते तो आप क्या होता है? Allows activities आप नहीं क्लिक करते तो क्या होता है? Track field history नहीं क्लिक करते तो क्या होता है? ठीक है. So we are going to have a discussion on this. आगे चल के there will be periodically अलग-अलग समय पे अलग-अलग बातें होने वाली. At the times of analytics, when we were learning the reports and the task, तब मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि what really happens when you don't click this as well as chatter. दो options तब cover करूंगा. During our activities discussion, when we are learning about a task and the event object, that time I told you what this means by the allow activities. And that is the time I'll also, security पे आपको मैं बताऊं कि what is means by the track field history. ठीक है, तो ये चीजें क्या है बेसिकली, तो इस पे हमारा डिस्कशन होने ही वाला है, बट ये कि अभी नहीं होगा, उस पर डिस्कशन हम बाद में करें. For now, I want every one of you to just click these four options. Allow reports, allow activities, track field history, and then allow in the chat. ठीक है. The second deployment status, what really happens when you put it into the in development, and second, what you put it into the deployed. These are the two different options. By default, deployed is select. Actually, you should go with this option. Okay? You should go with this option. I'm telling you. But what really happens when you click this in development? So let's have a discussion on that right now. I already have told you about how does the development part goes in the Salesforce. So many times we are going to see this diagram. Okay, we are going to discuss this diagram so many times. So this is how the development actually, development goes inside the Salesforce. See, what really happens is that I told you in the last lecture, last time when I was describing this, I told you that we at all is responsible. The only responsibility with us right now as an administrator is to click the front, is to create the front end part. For example, now I'm creating an object right now. For example, I'm creating a position object, rather I'm creating a hiring manager object. So I have told you that you are at all responsible to create the front end part. What is the singular responsibility of us is to just create the front end part, this much part, front end part. तो उसके बाद बचा हुआ जो है ना, the rest of the things, rest of the things मतलब अब इसके बाद में क्या क्या बचा हुआ है आपका, you are left with all this, ये इतना part बचा हुआ. The second phase कि whenever we create the front end, तो front end को support करता हुआ back end में database table, there must be a database table for this object inside a database.com. Then there must be a business logic class has been written so that these front end should get communicated with the back end. So I already have told you this, this much part has been taken care by the Salesforce itself. This part has been taken care by the Salesforce itself. ये जो part है यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक, this complete part, this complete part has been taken care by the Salesforce itself. ये Salesforce करता है, and you at all is not responsible. You at all is not responsible. Write down the business logic and develop a table. What is your only responsibility is to go with the front end. This is the only responsibility with you to go with the front end. बराबर है. तो अगर सुनिए, अब अगर आप say you are now actually creating an object, you're now creating an object, and then आप उसका status अगर in development कर देते हो ना, आप उसका status अगर आप in development कर देते हो, so what really happens is that what really happens is कि ये जो particular object create होना है ना, this particular object which is actually required to be, ये जो object create होने वाला है, ये जो ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट हो रहा है अभी दिस ऑब्जेक्ट, इसके लिए मतलब अगर आप इन इसको व्हेन यू पुट इट लाइक इन डेवलपमेंट करके अगर मैं सेव कर देता हूँ, सो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन इज दैट ऑब्जेक्ट इज गोइंग टू बी क्रिएटेड. ऑब्जेक्ट इज गोइंग टू बी क्रिएटेड, ठीक है, लेकिन उसके लिए ये बचा हुआ पार्ट अभी नहीं क्रिएट हुआ। बिजनेस लॉजिक क्लास एंड डेटाबेस टेबल विल नॉट बी क्रिएटेड बिकॉज क्यों, द ऑब्जेक्ट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी अंडर डेवलपमेंट, मतलब अभी पूरी तरह से काम बचा है, इसका ऑब्जेक्ट में कुछ काम बचा है। सो इट्स अंडर डेवलपमेंट, बिकॉज इट इज अंडर डेवलपमेंट, तो उसके लिए फिर आपका रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स लाइक द टेबल एंड द बिजनेस लॉजिक क्लास हैज बीन स्किप्ड फिलहाल तो। This is only get created. For the object for any of the object, the database table and the business logic class, this only get created when you keep the status has to be the deployed. Deployed means now it is final, and we wanted this to be get deployed. Okay, ये final हो गया. So that is why out of these two options, you should select deployed. ठीक है, अभी ये करना है. Allow search, I'll tell you what really happens when you don't allow search. ये भी होगा हमारा discussion पे, ठीक है. And add a notes and attachment. So every checkbox I'm going to explain, don't worry. But for now, because this is the first time you are actually seeing this navigation, let's go with the default settings. Let's go with the default settings everywhere. Then periodically, some जिसका जहाँ समय आएगा, so I'll tell you कि यहाँ पे आपने अगर ये checkbox क्लिक किया है तो आपको ये functionality मिल रही है. And if you don't check this, this is the functionality जो आपको नहीं मिलेगी. So इस तरह से हम लोग डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं आगे चल के. Launch a new custom tab will start. Launch a new custom tab will start. So let's see what happens when you click this. और इसके next example पे मैं इसको uncheck करूंगा ना, I'll uncheck this. तो क्या होता है वो भी हम देख लेंगे. So फिलहाल क्योंकि पहली बार है, let's go with the default setting, whatever required. So launch a new custom tab will start after saving this custom object. So save it. So one object hiring manager is about to be get created. It will asking you about the tab style. Now, what does tab style mean? See, if I click on the opportunity, if I click on the leads and the contacts and the cases and the accounts, these are the tabs of every object. So if I go to the opportunities, the opportunity tab is highlighted with this color. And this is the color everywhere in the partition also. Great. If I go with the leads is been highlighted with this color. And this is the color of every partition over here. If I go with the contact is highlighted with this color, and this is the color of every partition over here. It's now same with the case and same with the accounts and everything. So this is what the tab style is. It's asking you because you are creating a tab for an object called as hiring manager. What should be your tab style? What is your preferable tab style? And these all are the different types of the colors and the icons. One thing I actually forgot to say that, everywhere, not just the color, there's an icon also. See, for the account, this is the icon. If I go to cases, this is the icon. And if I go with the contacts, this is the icon. And the leads, this is the icon. And the opportunities, this is the icon. So everywhere, every tab have a different kind of color and a different type of icon also, right? What we are doing right now, we are creating a tab and the object called as hiring manager. So let's select the color and the, the icon for that. Now you have the list of all this. If you wanted to develop your own, so you could go and create your own style also. Salesforce actually allow you to select your own color and select your own image also. So this is what the facility, this is again the facility. If I tell you don't wanted to go with this list only, and you probably have your own color and icon, so you could create that also. Otherwise, go with the default list. So for the hiring manager, let me select this helicopter. I could give anything, let me select this helicopter. And if you wanted to give any description for the object, go with the description. Otherwise, let's skip that part and click the next button. Click the next button. So on this page, वैसे default यही रहता है, apply one tab visibility for all profiles. Default is on. Let it be. I wanted this to be have a default on. Security जब हम पढ़ेंगे तब मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि किसी टैब का डिफॉल्ट ऑन मतलब क्या होता है, डिफॉल्ट ऑफ मतलब क्या होता है, किसी टैब का हिडन होना मतलब क्या होता है. ठीक है. So I'm going to discuss with these three options. समय आएगा उसका एक समय आएगा. ठीक है. कैसा इस ट्रेनिंग में अगर मैं पहले दिन सारी चीजें पढ़ाना शुरू कर दूंगा, चीजें आपके सर से बाउंस हो जाएंगी. तो पढ़ाना तो बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन हर चीज का अपना एक समय होता है. सो अभी तो जो डिफॉल्ट ऑन है, इसी के साथ आपने जाना है. Just scroll it down and click the next button. Now make it visible for every profile user. देखो ये भी checked है, ये checked है, सारे checked हैं. Save it. Save it. Now we created one object. ठीक है, एक ऑब्जेक्ट हमारा बन के तैयार है. एक नया कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट हमारा बन के तैयार हो चुका है, जिसका नाम है हायरिंग मैनेजर, जिसका टैब भी रहा, ये रहा टैब. लेट्स ओपन द टैब आल्सो. ठीक है, लेट्स ओपन द टैब आल्सो. This is the tab for hiring manager home and helicopter icon, and this is the color what we have selected. ठीक है, what we have selected. So we have created one more object in our CRM Skylines Cloud Solutions में हमने एक नया ऑब्जेक्ट, एक नया टैब क्रिएट कर दिया है जिसका नाम है हायरिंग मैनेजर. ठीक है, बिकॉज द हायरिंग मैनेजर के लिए कोई सपोर्टिंग ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं था सेल्सफोर्स में, तो आपको उसको किसी और ऑब्जेक्ट से मैच करने की जरूरत नहीं, जैसे कि आप सैप में करते हो. हियर यू हैव दिस फैसिलिटी. दिस इज द फैसिलिटी, दिस इज द फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी आई कुड से, कि आप इसको अपने हिसाब से मोल्ड अप कर सकते. If you wanted to create one of the object for your requirement, go ahead and create it. No problem in that. So you have, although you have a limit, you have a limit of 2000 custom objects, but yes, we have this flexibility that we could create our own required objects inside the Salesforce, and this is the way to create that. Okay, this is the way to create that. So what I have done, I created a custom object called as hiring manager. हायरिंग मैनेजर पे मैंने एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट, हायरिंग मैनेजर नाम से एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया है मैंने. दिस इज द नेम ऑफ द हायरिंग मैनेजर ऑब्जेक्ट. चलो ठीक है. सो इफ आई नाउ गो टू दिस, मैं जैसे यहाँ पे ऑब्जेक्ट की लिस्ट में जाऊं, सेटअप बिल्ड एंड देन क्रिएट एन ऑब्जेक्ट. नाउ द previously this list was blank, this table was just not having any entry. Now I could see that it is having one entry called as hiring manager. So this is the custom object just now we created. This is the custom object just now we created. See, whenever we create an object, आपने उसका status deployed रखा है. You created this object, hiring manager object. Let's assume that this is an hiring manager object. Object created means database table is also created, and a business logic class is also being created. Now the table has been created. अब object बना है, table भी बना है. Object के अंदर जितनी भी fields होती हैं, ID, name, phone, balance, whatever. These are the columns inside the table. These are the columns. So right now, see, every object have fields, and हर object में fields होती हैं. चलो आप चलो account के अंदर है, you go to the accounts object, and you click on the new button. These many are the fields. These many are the fields of account object. मतलब account table have these many columns. Account में phone नाम का column है, rating नाम का column है, fax नाम का column, industry नाम का column है, type नाम का column है. Everywhere, every field corresponds to a column inside database table. I go to case, new click किया मैंने. Case also have these many fields. That means these are the columns inside the database table called as cases. If I go to contact and I click on this new button, I could see that these many are the fields inside the contact object. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि contact object का जो कोई भी table है, उसमें ये सारे columns हैं. What about this hiring manager? I just now created a hiring manager. I haven't created any field inside that. मैंने कोई भी field create नहीं करा है. तो इसका मतलब क्या होता है? क्या मेरा table blank है? Does my table is blank? Because right now I haven't created any field inside the hiring manager. हमें create तो करना है. Okay, if I follow the IDD, अगर मैं IDD पे जाऊं, मेरे को contact number, HR email ID, HR ID, locations, and I wanted to create all those fields. Fields तो मुझे create करना है. अभी मैंने नहीं किया. Right now मैंने कुछ भी create नहीं करा. So if this table is blank or not, ये question आता है. ठीक है, चलो देखते हैं. Let me click this new button. तो जैसे ही मैंने न्यू बटन प्रेस किया, I'm into the edit layout. एडिट लेआउट क्या होता है डिस्कस करेंगे, अभी सिर्फ नाम लिया मैंने, घबराओ मत. I'm on to the edit layout of hiring manager. I could see there is a field called as name and there is a field called as owner. मैंने तो क्रिएट नहीं करा है. I haven't created these two fields. How come this is possible? That ये अपने आप क्रिएट हो. Something this is, ये अगर मुझे दिख रहा है, मैंने आप भी तो सिर्फ मैंने ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया हायरिंग मैनेजर नाम का. I created one object. ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर फील्ड कैसे क्रिएट? नेम नाम की फील्ड है, ओनर नाम की. ठीक है, ये कैसे क्रिएट? बताता हूँ. अब एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट समझाने चाहता हूँ. प्लीज राइट इट. I go to setup build and then expand the key. I go to the objects. Just now I created an object called as hiring manager. Let me open this. This is the object what I have created right now. The name called as hiring manager. ठीक है, बहुत ध्यान से सुनिए. Whenever any object is created, any custom object, और एक तो नया बना है, मतलब राइट नाउ यू हैव क्रिएट, उसके अलावा जितने भी जो कि पहले से क्रिएटेड है, मतलब सारे स्टैंडर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट, अकाउंट के केसेस, कॉन्टैक्ट, सारी चीजें. अभी जो मैं बात आपको बताने जा रहा हूँ, ये सभी के ऊपर में, इन सब के ऊपर में एक्चुअली एप्लीकेबल, जो मैं अभी आपको बता रहा हूँ, आई थिंक व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू राइट नाउ इज एप्लीकेबल टू एवरीबॉडी. इट इज एप्लीकेबल ऑन द स्टैंडर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट्स and the custom objects that you have created, right? So for now, just now, actually, I created one of the custom object, hiring manager. So the thing what I'm going to discuss right now, अभी जो मैं चीज आपको बताने वाला हूँ, this is going to be applicable on everyone. Though the objects that are already there in a standard objects, or the objects that you are creating. So whenever an object is created, see, whenever an object is created, और द ऑब्जेक्ट्स दैट आर देयर इनसाइड द सेल्सफोर्स, जब भी कोई नया ऑब्जेक्ट बनता है, कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट, या फिर वो ऑब्जेक्ट जो कि पहले से मौजूद थे, हर ऑब्जेक्ट. और राधा, चलो इसको डिस्क्रिप्शन को थोड़ा सा मिनिमाइज करता हूँ कि व्हेनेवर यू क्रिएट अ न्यू ऑब्जेक्ट, सिर्फ इतना पार्ट समझो अभी, बाकी का बाद में, ठीक है, दो हिस्सों में पढ़ते हैं. व्हेनेवर यू क्रिएट एनी ऑब्जेक्ट, जब भी कोई नया ऑब्जेक्ट आप क्रिएट करते हो, तो एक टेबल बनता है. you know this, you know this, that whenever you create any object, one table inside a database.com is also created. One business logic class is also written, right? This you know this all. So this table is not blank. This table is not blank. Why? Because your object is not blank. Whenever you create an object, whenever you create a custom object, it is created with 5 different fields. It is created with 5 different fields. सर यहाँ तो 4 दिख रही है, 5 कौन सी? मैं बताता हूँ. The first field is ID. The first field is ID. Second, अब जो यहाँ से created by, last modified by, name, owner. So whenever you create any object, it is created with at least 5 different fields. ID, name, owner, created by, last modified. Whenever, फिर से repeat कर रहा हूँ, I wanted every one of you to write it down. Whenever you create an object, मतलब जब आप उसने उसे डिप्लॉयड रखा है, अगर आप इन डेवलपमेंट रखोगे तो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं, सब डिप्लॉयड रखा है तभी बोल रहा हूँ, ठीक है. Whenever you create any object, it is by default created with 5 standard fields. 5 standard field के साथ वो create होता है हमेशा. Whenever an object is created, it is created with the 5 standard fields by default. आप नहीं create करते हो. You just created the object, it is created with those 5 standard fields. What are those 5 standard fields? Write it down. ID, name, owner, created by, last modified. ID यहाँ नहीं, मैं दिखाता हूँ अभी, ID भी दिखाता हूँ, don't worry. Name, owner, created by, last modified. So whenever an object is created, it's not blank. It is always created with the 5 standard. That means you created the hiring manager. Hiring manager table is not blank. It's having 5 fields. It's having 5 different columns. What are those? Created by ID, created by owner, last modified by, and the name. These are the 5 columns. Let me show you that. Let me take you to the developer console. Let me take you to the developer console. And I told you the way to see every object inside the Salesforce. Go to the file menu and this open. Then click on the object. Okay, there are these many others. So many objects are there. I wanted to branch myself to the hiring manager. So the hiring manager will list out ho chuka hai. Just click on this. These fields, these many fields are created. Actually, 5 से भी ज़्यादा होती है, लेकिन हमारे काम की कौन सी क्या भी? ID, ठीक है, name, owner, created by, एंड द लास्ट मॉडिफाइड, बस इतना, बाकी आपने नहीं भी याद रखा तो चलता है, ठीक है। बट दीज आर द 5 फील्ड्स दैट आर क्रिएटेड, 5 से भी ज्यादा फील्ड्स क्रिएट होती है, फिलहाल नहीं पढ़ो उसको, फिलहाल मैं जितना पढ़ा रहा हूँ उतना ही पढ़ो। The 5 fields are created whenever you create an object. ID, name, owner, created by last modified. ठीक है, ये that is the reason why you could see आप उसमें नेम और ओनर आपको डिस्प्ले होता है, आईडी डिस्प्ले नहीं होता, आईडी रिकॉर्ड्स का डिस्प्ले होता है, आगे चल के डिस्प्ले होगा, बताता हूँ मैं सब धीरे धीरे सब पढ़ाऊंगा। आईडी ओनर क्रिएटेड बाय लास्ट मॉडिफाइड बाय, वो भी दिखाऊंगा लेकिन बाद में, अभी नहीं। एडिट लेआउट पे से भी 2 चीजें आती हैं, डिटेल लेआउट पे जाएंगे तब इससे ज्यादा देखिए। तो ये एडिट लेआउट क्या होता है, ये डिटेल लेआउट क्या होता है, ये भी पढ़ने वाले। मैं कैसा टर्मिनोलॉजी इंट्रोड्यूस करते चल रहा हूँ, सो दैट आप कहीं ना कहीं आपने सुना तो भी है ऐसा बोले कि हाँ इसके बारे में मैंने सुना है, क्या है ये तुम्हें बता नहीं पा। सो ऐसे धीरे 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 करके एक एक टर्मिनोलॉजीज में आपको देता चला जाओ, आप सुनते जाओ कि वक्त, हर चीज का अपना एक वक्त होता है, ठीक है, उसका समय आएगा, वो चीजें आपको पढ़ा दी जाएगी, डोंट वरी, कुछ भी छुपेगा नहीं आपसे। सो whenever we create an object, the object is not blank. Whenever an object is created, it's always created with the 5 standard fields. What are those standard fields? There are so many ways to see that, है ना, आप वहां से जा सकते हो, व्यू फील्ड्स के ऑप्शन पे जाओ, है ना, force.com को एक्सेस मेन्यू एक्सपैंड करो, व्यू फील्ड्स पे जाओ, अगेन यू विल बी गोइंग टू लैंड ऑन द सेम पेज। देयर आर सो मेनी वेज टू कम टू दिस पेज। आप ऐसे आ सकते हो, आप चाहो तो उसके, मैंने इसके पहले जो किया, सेटअप मेनू पे जाओ, उसके बाद में बिल्ड पे जाओ, क्रिएट पे जाओ, ऑब्जेक्ट पे जाओ, देन यू विल, फिर उसके बाद ऑब्जेक्ट पे क्लिक करो, देन ड्रॉ द नेविगेशन, बट यू विल बी लैंडेड ऑन द सेम। देखो दोनों सेम है ना, तो सो मेनी वेज टू कनेक्ट। अब इस पेज पे आने के और तरीके हैं, बहुत सारे तरीके हैं। तो एक तरीका तो ये है लंबा वाला, दूसरा तरीका कौन सा है, ये वाला, ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर हो आप, force.com क्विक एक्सेस मेनू को एक्सपैंड करो, व्यू फील्ड्स पे क्लिक करो, यू विल बी इवेंचुअली लैंडेड ऑन द सेम, देखो सेम पेज पर आप, राइट। व्हेन आई क्रिएटेड दिस ऑब्जेक्ट hiring manager, I created the object hiring manager. I could see that it doesn't have any custom field. उसमें कोई भी custom field नहीं है क्योंकि वो मैं create करूँगा. And I'm going to create all these fields. ये field मैं बनाने वाला हूँ आगे चल के, contact number, HR का email ID, HR का ID and the locations. I'm going to create all these fields. तो वो custom field के लायक फिलहाल तो नहीं, इसलिए ये blank है. No custom fields defined. Okay, कोई problem. लेकिन as soon as you create the object, it is created with the 5 standard fields. What are those? ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by. You know, you should remember this because this is one of the interview question. What really happens when I make, during the creation, when I select deployed, during the creation of the object, you know, जब आप object create करते हो, and then when you select that button deployed, you know, what really happens when you, during the creation of any object, when you select this deployed, what really happens in development? Only the object is created, nothing else. But when you make it deployed, because deployed is the default setting, what really happens? First thing, object is created along with the business logic class, along with the database table, first thing. And when object will be created, if the setting is deployed, but the object is created, it is created with the 5 standard fields. 5 standard fields. What are those? ID, name, owner, created by, last modified. So this is really going to be happen when you make, when you select at the time of creation, when you select this as to be deployed. Okay. By today, just do this. इतना ही करो आज. कल मैं दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट लेके जाता हूँ. दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट में I'm going to imposing certain new difficulties, certain new settings I'm going to impose on you. And a second object is after this hiring manager, we wanted to create the candidate object. कल देखेंगे. Again the same process है ना, standard navigation से ही create करेंगे, but we will split this at least in the 3 different sessions so that you know हर लेक्चर की अपनी एक स्पेशलिटी रहेगी. तब कि आज आपने ये कुछ पढ़ा, and I just don't wanted to mix. मुझे यहाँ पे भेलपूरी नहीं बनाना, ठीक है? I just don't wanted to mix the topics inside your mind. I wanted you to feel the specialized thing on every single day. That is why आज बस इतना ही, आज बस इतना ही. And this is the assignment for everybody, है ना? जो आज किया है वो assignment है. Don't make yourself lag with all this. आप जिस दिन का उसी दिन पढ़ो, ज्यादा बेहतर है. आप जॉब करते हैं, आप फैमिली संभालते हैं, ठीक है, you're handling the kids probably. I know everything, but because now you are into this training, तो आप 2-2.5 महीना कैसा भी समय निकालो, ठीक है, दिन में नहीं तो रात में, भले ही, but try to complete the assignment on the same day. बस अभी तो कुछ नहीं है, I'm telling you, अभी तो कुछ नहीं है, अभी तो मैं आपको कुछ प्रैक्टिस नहीं दे रहा हूँ. Later on when we going to start with this, धीरे धीरे करके जैसे ही होते जाएगा तब बहुत ज्यादा असाइनमेंट्स आएंगे एंड करना ही पड़ेगा आपको. सो धीरे धीरे करके यहाँ पे काफी सारी चीजें हैं जो आपको करना पड़ेगा आगे चल के. तो अभी से इस चीज की आदत डाल दीजिए कि the homework I give you for the day, need to finish it on the same day. ठीक है, आपको उसी दिन करना है प्लीज. दिस इज जस्ट नॉट फॉर मी, बस आई डोंट सी एक्चुअली कि आपने किया है कि नहीं किया है. दिस इज नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर मी एक्चुअली, लेकिन हाँ आई जस्ट बिलीव ऑन यू कि हाँ आपने कर लिया है. तो हर दिन का असाइनमेंट अलग है एंड ट्राई टू कंप्लीट इट ऑन द सेम डे. बिकॉज प्रोबेबली टुमारो आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू समथिंग, अब आप वो करोगे कि ये करोगे, राइट, ऐसा. So tomorrow, second object बनाएंगे. The second is the candidate object we are going to see, and then उसमें कुछ नया सीखेंगे. Okay.